It's time for you to practice. You've had a long day. You walk in through the house, you sit down at your kit, you pick up your sticks, and you start jamming to your favorite song. And then, within 30 seconds, sure enough, family member barges in, says, "Shut up!" Good fun, isn't it? Yeah, drums don't really go hand in hand with being quiet. How can we fix that? Well, I have 5 tips for you that is going to change everything about the way that you make your kit quieter. And I would stick around for the last one. It's going to be massive. Hey guys, it's Tyler Vivian here, and today we're going to tackle one of drumming's biggest problems: noise! Now everyone has different living situations, whether you're living by yourself or if you're living with a family. You might live in a really big house or a tiny apartment. There's lots of different factors, and you have to consider how you quieten down your kit and not annoy everyone who's around you. Now what I've gone and done is I've come up with 5 different ways that you can quieten down your kit and make everyone else a lot happier. I've kind of ranked these roughly in order of cost, so if you have not a huge budget, you can still quieten down your kit without having to blow your life savings. Now, muffling is the easiest and cheapest way that you can get your kit really quiet. Basically, all it's gonna require is looking around your house and finding like an old tea towel or like an old shirt or something, and you can just chuck that right on top of the kit. Now, what's great about this method is that you can control what you want muffled and how much you want muffled. You can also control the amount of muffling by just only muffling half the tom or half the snare. You can even muffle the kick drum just by chucking a bunch of blankets and towels and stuff like that inside of it, and that's going to really dampen it. You can even go as far as getting a tea towel and taping it over top of the cymbal. Now, unfortunately, muffling is going to kill your tone. Your $3,000 drum kit is going to sound like a sack of potatoes. Going into this, you got to know that while you may have a really quiet kit afterwards, it's not going to sound the best. So if that doesn't matter to you, then that's fine. But that might matter to some people. Now, on the topic of muffling, there are also these type of things. These kind of quiet pads. You know, you got ones for like toms, and you've even got ones for cymbals. Now, in my experience, they sound about the same as having a tea towel over it. So by all means, go ahead and buy them, or if you have them, you go ahead and use them. What's really nice is they kind of sit inside the toms, so you're not gonna have trouble with them falling off, usually, but they do cost a bit more than just having a tea towel. So go for it if you want, but that's not really what I would ever do. Low volume cymbals and mesh heads. Now, low volume cymbals and quiet drum heads do exist. It's kind of surprising because often we don't think of drums as being quiet, but you can get gear that actually is quiet in itself. Now, I don't actually own any mesh heads, so if you want to check out a video on them, Sounds Like a Drum has a great video, and he goes really in depth and into the tone and all that. So I'm going to put that video link down below. So check that out if you're interested in quiet mesh heads. But basically, mesh heads are just drum heads that have a lot of little holes in them, and they make it really quiet. I do have low volume cymbals. Now, low volume cymbals, they look like this. They have a lot of holes in them, just like the mesh heads. You can kind of see it looks like a cheese grater. They're really quiet. Like I can crash that and it does not kill my ears. So I would definitely check out low volume cymbals. They feel great. They sound great. They don't sound like muffled cymbals where you just kind of got a tink, tink, tink. They actually have range. They actually explode when you want them to. I've actually even used them on some gigs before, like really quiet gigs where I really want to keep the volume down and I don't really want to have to work for playing quietly. What's really great about low volume cymbals is they sound really similar to actual cymbals. Now, they're not going to sound exactly the same as your favorite cymbal. They're not going to sound like a K Custom or your Mino Byzance or anything like that. But they do actually sound like cymbals. So I would definitely recommend them. Now, they're not quite as effective as muffling, so you're not gonna have the same dramatic noise reduction as if you just put a tea towel on it, but it does significantly reduce it. As you could hear, I could crash that just then and my ears aren't hurting at all. I could talk over that if I really wanted to. Also, the cost is gonna be a little bit higher. Those cymbals themselves, they run me about $200, $250. Now, I would definitely give a bunch of brands a try out. This one's called Total Percussion. It sounds really great. It's the ones I really like. Also, they didn't cost me heaps. But even brands like Zildjian, they have their own low volume cymbals that you can check out. So go ahead, have a look around, see what you like. There are a lot of options out there. Likewise, the mesh heads are also gonna cost you a little bit more than just having tea towels. Now, if you're anything like me, you love your acoustic kit. You love the sounds, you love exactly how it feels, you can set it up exactly how you want. Acoustic kits are great, but I would give electric kits a go. They have come a long way from just like little tiny plastic drum looking things. Now, there's some positives that come with electric kits. They keep the noise right down, which is what we're trying to achieve. And there's a lot of experimentation. They can get a lot of fun. If you want a metal sounding kit, if you want a pop sounding kit, if you want to make it sound like aliens, yes, you heard me right. Aliens. Beep, boop, 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 boop. Because it sounds like it's a bunch of plastic or mesh that you're hitting, often what you're going to be doing is you're going to be putting it through your headphones. So with muffling, we had all that kind of, all the tones gone. It just sounds like, you know, plastic and hitting a sack of potatoes. But with an electric kit, all that is removed, but as soon as you put those headphones on and you can hear these beautiful drum noises. You can also put it through a speaker system. However, if you're trying to keep the noise down, that's probably what you don't want to do. Unfortunately, like I said, this gear can get super expensive. Some of the electric kits only start to sound really decent and feel really good just after the $1,000 mark. So if you want a kit that feels like an acoustic with a lot of control, you're gonna have to pay for it, but it might be worth it for you. Soundproofing is obviously going to be the most effective way of controlling the noise of your kit. If noise can't get out of your room, that means that nothing is going to be heard by any of your family members or your neighbors. But it's super expensive. You're either going to have to build a room with soundproofing in mind, or you're gonna have to do heaps of treatment to the room after it's already been built. You're gonna need insulation, you're gonna need super thick walls, super thick doors, you might need double glazed windows, you're gonna need to look at the actual floor, you're gonna need to look at the actual ceiling. There's heaps of things that go into soundproofing. Now, for a lot of you that's listening out there, this isn't gonna be a feasible option. However, we can look at the idea of soundproofing and take some of those things and apply it to our own rooms. Now, we could even take an old mattress and chuck it in front of the door or around the walls. We could put up thicker curtains over near the windows. We might even need to look at the actual position of our kit. Is it in a room that's actually going to work for where you're living? Is your kit in the living room? Maybe it needs to go into a bedroom off to the corner. Maybe the neighbor who's complaining all the time about your noise is on the left side of your house, and that happens to be where your kid is. Can you move it to the right side of your house? I want to talk a little bit about the difference between sound dampening or acoustic treatment and soundproofing. Now, obviously, soundproofing is not letting any noise escape out of the room, whereas acoustic treatment or sound dampening is actually where you're going to be absorbing some of the frequencies that are inside the room. If you ever walk into a room and you give a clap and you can hear echoes all around, that probably means that what you can do is put a lot more stuff in your room. If you have extra couches or if you have like bookshelf or something, you could chuck that in your room and that's gonna suck up a lot of that noise and reduce some of those frequencies. A lot of those things that we said earlier about how you can soundproof your room are also gonna be sound dampening to your room. They're gonna suck up a lot of those frequencies. So things like mattresses, things like curtains, even if you have a carpet already in your room, chucking a rug down is also gonna suck up a lot of those noises. You can hang acoustic foam all up around your room to your heart's content. Bear in mind, this isn't gonna let noise not escape, but it might make some of the noises a little bit more bearable. Now, obviously, this is later on the list because actual soundproofing can get really, really expensive. However, we can be inspired by a lot of elements of soundproofing. This is the most important thing for making your drums quieter. It's turning you down. Now, you may think that this is a little bit of a cheat, because why is it last on the list? Well, it's all the time and effort that's going to take to invest into yourself to play quieter. It's a priceless skill. There are countless times where I'm at a gig where I need to actually just play quieter, especially in small venues or cafes where people are just trying to enjoy themselves. You're just background music, and you need to be able to control how loud you are. Drums are actually really quiet. Here, listen. See? They're pretty quiet, so we have complete control over how loud they actually are. Now, what we often forget is that drummers are musicians as well. We need to be able to have a control of dynamics. We need to be able to play really, really soft and really, really loud. Some of us are really great at being loud, but we're not so great at being quiet. Other musicians have lots and lots of notes that they can play to make their instruments more creative and interesting. Drums don't really have that. That's why it's even more important that we have our dynamics under control. So now, the cost of playing quietly, it's priceless. It's actually going to take you a long time in order to work on something like this, to make it really, really quiet. Especially if you are the type of person that has been playing really, really loud all this time. But if you start now, it's going to help you heaps and heaps down the line. So there are the 5 ways to make your kit quieter. Feel free to muffle, quieten, and dampen to your heart's content. If you like this video, please give it a like, and please subscribe down below. We have lots more of this kind of content coming out, and I'd love for you not to miss out on it. If you have any other tips about how you can make your kit quieter, please comment down below. I'm sure people would love to hear that. And if you're looking for more ways to improve your drumming, click on this video over here. And until next time, see you later.